Well, hello there, ladies and gents. It is great to see you again, and welcome back to Lessons by the Lake, the Oswego Private Well Show. Ryan Ruff here, your moderator. But as always, I've got Bob Bedritis lying in wait. He's going to be joining me in just a moment for another deep wealth management conversation. And of course, we're bringing another distinguished guest of ours to the show today. Really excited to be welcoming on Mr. Johnathan Choe today. Johnathan is the president and lead advisor over at Transworld Business Advisors of Oregon Central. And we're going to be talking through the topic of the day. And as you probably see at the bottom of your screen or when you press play on this episode today, we're talking about navigating business sales for maximum gain. So that's really the crux of today's conversation. And if you're a frequent listener or viewer of this show, you know that there's a really unique intersection of today's topic and, of course, the work that Bob does with his clients on a regular basis. So excited to jump into this one. Let's first bring the star of the show, if you will, out. Bob, good to see you today. How you doing?
All right. Hey, I'm great, Brian. I hope you're doing well as well.
Yeah, doing well. I know you're just getting back from vacation, spending a little time. It's good to have you back, rested, I'm sure, and relaxed. Before we jump into the nitty gritty of the discussion, we've got Johnathan Choe who carved time out of his busy schedule to join us and talk through this idea of navigating business sales to maximize gains. Why don't talk through kind of the topic at large and why you ultimately wanted to have Johnathan on today?
Well, thanks, Ryan. I want to have Jonathan on today because number one, he's great at what he does. Number two, he's a great guy, and so I think that's a really good combination to put together. But Jonathan is a CEPA, a Certified Exit Planning Advisor, a designation I hold as well. So we match book very well in the methodology that we use to work with clients. Although we come at it from the same angle, but we provide different services to those business owner clients. And Jonathan's specialty is helping with the sale, right? Maximizing the profits on a sale of the business. So he's the president and lead broker at Transworld Business Advisors. That's an international franchise in 19 different countries, has 300 offices in the 50 states of the United States. Jonathan's office, though, is just killing it. It's a top 10 office. I think they were, Jonathan, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you were number three out of 300 in 2022. You were number five in 2023. I have no idea. You probably went to number one in 24. I'm not sure about that one, but I think my other two numbers are correct. And Jonathan has this passion, this humanity and humility, and this passion for helping people. And I love that about him. And he's in Central Oregon. He's in Bend, Oregon. And he's in the tri-state region, as I like to joke. He's in Oregon, California, and Ohio. So his business is in the tri-state, or in Ohio, down in Southern California, LA, and then Central Oregon. So it's anyway. Let me welcome you to the show, Jonathan. It's so good to have you, and excited to talk to you today.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited to chat with you guys and share what we can about helping people who want to make the transition to the other side of ownership.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And when we've had previous shows, we've brought in some very um, uh, merger and acquisition specialists, private equity, those who do these huge mega kind of deals for those types of businesses. Would I be correct in summarizing that Transworld and your involvement is more middle market, Main Street, to where you guys really shine?
That's correct. I want to be clear, particularly about our office. Though our average deals anywhere between $1 to $3 million in enterprise value, as long as we can help our clients, I never refuse to help businesses because their enterprise value is too small. If it becomes economically challenging, um, uh, if a business is going to sell for a low amount and our commissions eat that up, we'll help them sell it on their own and guide them on how to maximize the value that they can get. It just, but we do want to help uh, large businesses, of course, just like any other broker. But we're part of our communities, and we want to make sure that everybody who needs help gets help.
Yeah, that's fantastic. No, you are, and I didn't mention this in the intro, but I know you're very involved in your nonprofits. You're very involved in your church. I believe you have a focus on homeless veterans, families, that kind of thing. That's a big passion of yours?
Yeah, I think I'm guided by faith, and um, that governs pretty much how we live our lives. I run this business with my wife, and fortunately for me, she is the better half, and um, um, that is our number one focus, our relationship with Christ, and
Mm.
uh, everything else kind of comes out of that for us.
Well, well, we love to hear that on this show because that's important to us as well. So that's amazing. Listen, I want to get back into a little bit more about Transworld and kind of the sweet spot of your clients and things like that. But can I back it up a little bit, Johnathan? And let's kind of talk about your background. You grew up where you grew up, kind of what influenced you throughout your life, and how you ended up choosing this as your reason for being in your profession and your passion.
Yeah, so I grew up for the first 6 years of my life in South Korea. And when I was six, my uh, parents moved us to California, where I grew up, and for a better life. And it's turned out to be great. Since then, I went to school in California, pursued a career in banking, and during that time, really got lost in work was pretty much everything. And then how I got into business brokerage was we settled in Central Oregon in a town called Bend, which we absolutely fell in love with. And we didn't want to move anymore. So there were really no bank executive positions available. So I looked for something to do, and this came as something that I felt like I can add value in, and had transferable skills. So after 33 years in banking, in the C-suites, chasing a CEO goal, kind of in a crazy way, um, you know, I with my family, decided that my career wasn't number one. So we fortunately landed in this role with a great company. And 6 years later, we have operations in Bend, in Eugene. We cover Greater Oregon. And then with a partner whose business I sold, we opened up an office in Columbus, Ohio. That's the second state of our tri-state location. And most recently, where I am today, I'm in our Southern California office. And 6 years later, we've been blessed to grow our businesses and expand. So that's how I kind of got to business brokerage. And I love being able to help clients, most of whom um, uh, don't have a really good idea of how to approach their exit, how to plan for it, what drives value. Oftentimes, as you know, they barely think about their future, which, you and I working together, along with other SEPA members, planning is so important in creating value and for them in the sale. But particularly after they sell their business, there's another life there too. So as a member of the SEPA organization, we get to help our clients in a comprehensive way. So I'm really excited about doing it the right way for our clients.
No, I know the methodology that you and I use and the structure and the systems that you and I use together to help clients. And in a perfect world, and there's not a perfect world out there, but in a perfect world, we're engaging 3 to 5 years before the actual sale. And we're wanting to not only just do an assessment of the business and help value growth there and make the business even more profitable during that runway, but we also want to make sure that the owners are in good shape financially and their personal financial planning. But the other one that you're alluding to is the owner's readiness assessment that we do. And that's a tough one for owners to do because they've been working 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week, maybe even more. And it's their baby, it's who they are. And then they imagine, what's my life after that going to look like? And they can be rudderless. And they're on the first tee at the golf course, and when somebody asks them, what do you do for a living, they sometimes if they're not ready, they process that as saying, oh, you're asking me who was I when I used to be somebody, right? When I used to be an important person. And that's a tough hurdle for many, many owners. I know the Institute, the EPI, is the parent organization over the SEPA designation, has done the survey that said the vast majority, 80% plus of business owners regret having sold their business. Not that they didn't get enough money out of the deal and they're not financially well off, but they regret because they didn't make any plans for, gee, it's Tuesday at 2 p.m. What am I doing? Oh, my third Costco run of the week. It's not the life I planned. So anyway, I think you make a great point. Well, Johnathan, to transition to that, let's talk about methodology a little bit. Let's talk about the Transworld Business Advisors and what services you guys offer and how you help those business owners from first engagement all the way through the sale of the business.
Sure. We like to, if we can, get in front of business owners to help prepare them a year or two in advance. I feel like that's how we can provide them the maximum benefit, because it's not only the financials and financial performance is very important, and it's the foundation of the valuation. But businesses sell in a wide range. It's not like if you sell a house, 2,500 square foot home in Lake Oswego, the correlation to the sales price of a similar home in this neighborhood is close to 1, right? And there's not a lot of variation. Well, businesses don't value that way. It's more of a range that the capital markets determine what range that they sell for. And the larger the business, the larger the sales price, obviously. And there are drivers to creating value. And some of those things are hard to move in the short term. Many of those things require preparation. I'll give you one thing. If an owner doesn't have a strong management team in place and that they're holding the business together, well, it's going to sell a lot for a lot less than a similar business with the same numbers, because there's more risk in that business. So we like to get ahead of them. When we do get the opportunity to be a year or two in front of their sale, we like to start with evaluation to see where they are. And then there are things that can be done in the short term. We recommend that those changes occur. In the past, couple of years, restaurants have been hit hard by COVID. Prices have gone up. One basic thing that most restaurant owners that we've worked with didn't do is raise their prices enough. So that's a thing that can be done in the short term. But we work with them to get their business prepared for sale, whether it's short term, immediately, or they've got a couple of years ahead of them. We do the valuation. We understand where their business is, and if it meets their requirements, the valuation meets the requirements, they're generally ready to sell their business. Then there are other complexities that they should consider. In preparation is best. They need to talk to somebody like you to make sure that financially they're capable of living the lifestyle that they need. There are certain tax ramifications of the sale that they need to talk to you and their CPA and plan for the best tax advantaged ways to exit. Once we get the listing, then we'll prepare a marketing strategy and then a marketing package. And then once we're ready with that, then we'll go to market. We'll either do a targeted sale, or we'll go to the open market, or both. But then once we get buyers interested, we will go through the vetting process where we vet them to make sure that they have the background, the financial capability to operate the business successfully. And sometimes, as you said earlier, business owners care about their legacy. So many times they do instruct us on the type of buyer that they're looking for. Where in the vetting process, we'll vet for that as well. For example, oftentimes they really care about their clients, and they particularly care about taking care of their employees. We generally get those requests, and then we vet the buyers before they even get to know the name of the business, because confidentially selling their business is paramount in our industry. A lot of bad things can happen if they find out that Frank's Diner or machine shop is selling. It could cause problems with employees, cause problems with their vendors, their clients. We market their business confidentially. We also, once we get offers, we help negotiate and the deal. We make sure that all of the particulars that is common and unique to their business gets done in a timely manner, whether it's financing, any licensing that needs to happen from the state, leases with the landlord, just the nuts and bolts of making sure that every thing that needs to be addressed for a smooth transition occurs. And then we bring him to the closing table. And after the business sale, we're also there to help transition the buyers and the sellers so that they have a smooth transition. And then once we have the closing, we generally like to celebrate over lunch or dinner. But we go through everything from pricing the business, transitioning, negotiating the deal, getting the financing, doing the lease transition, to getting it transferred.
That's terrific. That's a lot of value. I know you're industry agnostic, but are there certain industries that you tend to work with more than others, or is it really all over the board? And I think, Johnathan, too, you're also very active in the franchise world.
Yeah. So, yeah, if I could just tell the other two parts that we do too. The bulk of what we do is we help business owners prepare for and sell their business. That's the business brokerage and M&A, lower middle market M&A business that we do. But then we also have the ability through our parent company to help businesses that want to grow through franchising to franchise. And that is from A to Z. We'll help them with their FDD, their marketing strategy, finding franchisees for them. So that's called franchise development. We can help with that. We also represent over 500 different franchising brands. Some folks like the idea of buying a franchise. So those are the three things that we do. And in the course of doing business brokerage, we also offer valuations. We call them broker opinions of value.
Yeah, those valuations are so critical because, as you said, it isn't the same as every 2,500 square foot house on the same cul-de-sac is roughly the same price. The business valuations vary greatly, and what we have, and I know you and I both use the same term, we are the country club multiples. You heard your buddy at the golf course said he sold his business for 10x EBITDA or whatever that is, but your businesses, while similar revenue, are completely different businesses, completely different valuations because customer concentration, because of certain risks to the business, because of profitability and liabilities. And it's just, there is no, you have to have a valuation. There is no, gee, my buddy sold his business and he had about the same revenue, so mine's just worth just as much or more.
Johnathan,
yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine. And Johnathan, to kind of speaking to Bob's point, are there any really common misconceptions that you guys find when you start working with a new client on that journey to prep their business for the sale? Is there any kind of light bulb moment that you have to provide for them to say, hey, it's actually not what you're thinking. We need to steer this way, or anything like that?
Yeah. We get a lot of, I think, Bob, you called it country club valuations. We get more times than not higher valuations for the business from the seller's mind, from wherever they heard it from, their CPA. But what we really bring to the table is what the market is doing and offering today. So, for example, when interest rates were at zero, the cost of funds, the finance deals was a lot less. So businesses were selling at a slightly higher multiple than they are today. So we do work with the realities of the moment, but once we show the business owners how we came to the valuation, and it's not just the quantitative analysis that in many ways is the easy part, but it's really understanding their business well enough to know how well the business operates. Is their management team in place? Do they have, like Bob said, high concentrations, or are they diversified in their income stream? So a lot of the value is in de-risking a business, right? Are there operational protocols so that the business follows? Is it written down? Is it followed? Those type of things those are more longer term, but those things can take a set of numbers and move up the multiple. So if it's $1 million EBITDA company and it's poorly run, they may trade at below a 3 multiple because there's so much work and risk associated with that business. If you have one client versus having 100 clients, that will impact what a buyer is willing to pay for the business. So we take a comprehensive approach to valuing businesses. We take a quantitative analysis of the business, and then we qualitatively assess the business. Bob can talk to you about those drivers just as much as I can. And then the third thing is really how competent are we in making a market and being able to represent that business in the good, the bad, and the ugly of it, so that there is a good deal for both a buyer and seller. So that's kind of our approach to evaluating businesses. And if I could just say, we do like to work with our clients. So our valuations, in Oregon, we can't do this in California, but in Oregon, we actually credit back the cost of the valuation when we sell their business against our commissions. And then each year we'll do a complimentary update of the financials. What we really want to do is establish a relationship and an understanding of the business with the business owners, so that if they're not there today, then we can help them in our lane to get there.
Well, I tell you, that's why we love working with you, because you guys, you're so competent in your lanes, and my lanes are just a little bit different on the financial planning and some of the business assessment stuff. And it's our belief always is that business owners should surround themselves with talent in different specialties and not rely on just one person to know everything, because no one person can know everything. Johnathan, who should call you? If people are intrigued by our conversation today, who's the best person to call you, and what should they expect? And when's the best time in the cycle of they're considering their exit to give you a ring?
Well, on average, it takes about 8 to 9 months from start to finish to sell a business. So there's preparation that goes into it, and there's the process of selling the business. So if they're a year out, they should contact me right away. And it's any business owner who's ready now, or if they're 2 to 3 years out, then I would love to do a complimentary and confidential consultation to see what their goals are, where they're at, hopefully do evaluation for them as a baseline, and start helping them prepare for the sale of their business. And like you, bring in experts in their lane. One of the things that I would say to your audience is that it's important to start planning with somebody like Bob, so that you know what the afterlife of after selling your business is going to look like. That is probably one of the biggest things that when I talk to business owners, they really haven't given that a lot of thought. And when I ask them, do you have an advisor? More than half of my clients don't have one. So it's important that the planning, and the planning starts really before me and before selling the business, because the planning is really around their life and the rest of their life. And a good financial advisor like Bob and a CPA and an attorney as well are really important partners to getting ready to sell the business.
Yeah, well, thank you for those words. That's very kind of you to say that. But in all reality is I agree, and it's understandable by why so many business owners don't have a wealth manager or SEPA, because they're 80% of their net worth is tied up in their business, and tied up. It's profitably. It's a good thing to have it in the business, but at some point that becomes there's the tax issues, there are inheritance and family heir issues, there are protecting asset issues, and there are things that we do believe strongly that a SEPA wealth manager should be involved as early as possible in the process, even if they're saying, what do I need one of those guys or gals for? Because everything's in the business right now, but it won't be forever, right? So.
Well, Bob, to that point, then, for anybody out listening to our audience, or out in our audience listening to today's conversation, that is, and they're thinking to themselves, oh, I really should start a conversation with my wealth manager or with a wealth manager to begin with, what would be the best way somebody could get in touch with you and your team to open up that dialogue?
Thanks for asking that. Call us, go to our website, oswegoprivatewealth.com, or if you want to take the shortcut, go opwm.com and go to our website, and our contact information is on there, and we would love to entertain a call. And like Johnathan said, it's confidential and it is without obligation, and we're happy to talk to anybody and see if there might be a way that we can add value and serve them.
I realized I didn't fully answer two of your questions. So who should call me? We don't have a specific industry that we'll take all businesses that need our help and want our help. And 1 to 3 years out or immediately want to sell. And we're really good, and our sweet spot is $1 to $5 million in enterprise value. We'll generally in revenue, 500,000 to 10 million is where most of our businesses that we work with.
All righty. And hey, look, folks, we want to take a final moment, as we always do on this show, and thank you for making us a part of your day. If you enjoyed today's discussion, if you learned a thing or two from our sit down with Johnathan Choe, make sure you hit that subscribe button on whichever platform you checked us out on today, so that you don't miss out on any future conversations where Bob and I dive into different wealth management topics, or welcome on some esteemed guests from his network to chat through the most pertinent topics that are facing, successful business owners in today's climate. But look, for Johnathan and Bob, I'm Ryan. We're going to go ahead and say so long now, but we appreciate everybody stopping by and being with us today on Lessons by the Lake.